Welcome. Let's talk about why your association fails to leverage generative AI effectively and what you can do about it. Now, generative AI has been transforming opportunities for associations over the last year or so, and it's been doing so really effectively. So there's been a lot of efficiency gains in terms of less resources used and effectiveness in terms of member service capabilities. So actual effectiveness, meaning serving members better, not only using less resources to do so. It's been great at enhancing internal organizational processes and also helping volunteer leaders of chapters and sections do their job more effectively. In order to do so, the most forward-thinking associations have been deploying comprehensive learning programs, which they've been finding are really essential for success with generative AI adoption. Now here's the thing. Associations face really diverse staff and volunteer needs. So one-size-fits-all learning programs, the kind you'll find on LinkedIn or a standardized training module, just won't cut it. You need customized programs based on surveys of member needs, focus groups with them, and then role-specific training for the staff and various staff levels, and for your chapter leaders and section leaders, so for your volunteers. Programs this learning must combine accessibility for people with different skill levels, as well as opportunities for continuous learning over time as generative AI improves and gets better over time, so it has more capabilities. I need equitable learning, so people must feel that their learning is equitable, that they have equal opportunities to others who have maybe more skill levels, and so you need to ensure a certain baseline of equitability in your learning programs. Now, what I've seen is that staff are going to, of course, more quickly pick up generative AI, not all staff, but on average, because they use it more extensively in their work with the association stuff than volunteers. But volunteers will also pick it up when they see how beneficial it is for event planning, for outreach to their members, for marketing materials. And again, this tailored training program needs to align with your organizational goals. And it needs to be a real-world training program. So don't just have theoretical stuff. Have hands-on training that bridges theory with daily responsibilities of staff and volunteers, whatever they're doing. Have practical hands-on workshops and stimulations to make sure that they build skills in whatever they're going to be doing with various role-playing. Have role-specific scenarios to improve learning outcomes and make sure that they're accessible to people who have different preferences. Maybe some like text learning, maybe some like video learning, maybe some like audio learning, maybe some like interactive tools. As part of giving good training, make sure to overcome biases. So ethical use of AI requires monitoring for unintended biases in training. Have regular audits to ensure inclusivity and equity in your training program as well as in the AI system that you deploy. Have experts who are familiar with association needs engage in evaluating the quality of your AI and its inclusivity, and make sure, of course, that the training program is well adapted to your needs. This inclusive training is what supports diverse user demographics, whether it's staff who are heavily engaged, like your IT staff, or volunteers who are not going to be so engaged but are still going to benefit a lot. And of course, you have many more volunteers likely as chapter leaders than you have staff, so it's really important to empower them. Empower your stakeholders equitably. Have additional tech supports for less tech-savvy volunteers, tends to be older volunteers, which will foster inclusion and help them feel like they can do their job. Have peer mentoring networks for people who are more savvy, often volunteers who are younger, to provide mentoring for older volunteers who have more experience in the field but less familiarity with generative AI technology. Make sure that you have this inclusive training that will help boost your morale and organizational engagement, and it will empower your staff and volunteers to excel with generative AI adoption. I'll give you a case study of a large association I worked with as a consultant with over 100 staff and dozens of chapters across the globe. It's US-based, but dozens of chapters across the globe and a number of sections like young professionals and so on. The association staff, what we did was we helped them use generative AI to optimize analytics for member engagement and so on, for logistics, for events. Volunteer leaders applied AI tools for marketing, scheduling, event logistics as well. The training that we provided emphasized role-based learning and real-world practice with videos, workshops, and immersive exercises with role-playing. Now, what we found was that AI adoption surged from 30% of staff and volunteers to over 90% within 6 months. Membership satisfaction scores as a result of deploying AI by staff and volunteers increased by 25%, which is great. Staff reduced manual data entry tasks by 40% and other related tasks, analytics tasks, drafting emails, marketing materials by 40%. So that all boosted, of course, efficiency. And volunteer engagement improved, reducing response times by 35%. And volunteers, of course, also found it more efficient, as well as more effective. So they're getting more bang for their buck in terms of impact. Now, you want to think about resistance. There's realistically going to be some resistance to generative AI adoption from things like automation anxiety, where people are afraid of that their skills are going to be automated away and maybe they'll even lose their job. Use success stories to highlight the benefits of generative AI for staff and volunteers alike to address this automation anxiety. Deploy generative AI champions and have them mentor people and share their success stories, and have clear communication about your use of generative AI and your plans going forward to address concerns. Frame AI as a tool for mission enhancement and skills growth for your staff and volunteers. To sustain engagement, which sometimes can be hard, I recommend using gamified elements to maintain enthusiasm and focus, to see who can do the best things with generative AI, have recognition and progress, which will help you enhance participation commitment for the various training programs that you're doing. Engage learners with interactive quizzes and rewards over time as they're getting better at generative AI, and make sure that there's long-term continuous learning, which will foster retention of information and application. Make sure that you allocate appropriate resources to training. Have executive buy-in, which will ensure resource commitment for strategic and financial support. Align training clearly with your overarching organizational goals, and budget for high-quality learning materials and trainers. This quality resources that you'll provide in training and content will position your association as an industry leader. So, to come to a conclusion, tailored generative AI training is what will equip your association to thrive in the future. You want to demonstrate innovation and services, serve as a model for your members. And so your members will see the association not as just, here are a bunch of old guys that will come together to hang out with, but as an innovative, forward-thinking leader on generative AI. And that's what will help you drive measurable gains in efficiency, effectiveness, and industry influence. All right, everyone, I hope you've benefited from this video. Make sure to send any questions that you have to my email, gleb@disasteravoidanceexperts.com. Again, gleb@disasteravoidanceexperts.com, GLEB is my name. And make sure to subscribe to this channel to get further videos like this.